Hey, okay. So that issue was because of our versioning. And if I can tell you it in this way that if you check this version 15.1.0, where is it? Yeah, in tags. If you see the version 15.1.0, they have a 2JSON file, 2JSON function addition, something like this, and that's the reason we are not able to do it. But if we go back to 15.0.0, this will work fine. And that is exactly what we did here. I have also created an issue there, so maybe someone will help us at some point of time. But right now this thing is working. If I go back to Postman and if I do a request, and my body will be test because we have test here in our schema. So if I do test, I should get a string back. So in that case, let's see, send, we get 200 and we get a test working, exactly what we were expecting here. The result, see, working. Alright, so we have three main things in the resolver what we need to do. First one will be create an entry. Second one will be delete an entry. And third one will be get total. Okay, so for creating an entry, first of all, where are we going to create an entry? So for that reason, we need to use a database. And in order to use a database, we go in Deno, third-party modules, and we'll use Dexecutor. So what is a Dexecutor? And SQL query executor that supports MySQL, MariaDB, Postgres, and SQLITE. And Dex is kind of a query builder. So we'll need both of them. So let's create them. Okay, so I will quickly import these two things into a new folder, which we will call it database.ts. This one I'm going to import Dex and Dexecutor, both of them. And next what we will do here is we'll go to the official site of Dex, or I can simply just do this thing, copy and paste it. So our client will be SQLite 3 and client and executor. We'll need to assign client as well. I think probably this we don't really want text. No, we do want text. Okay, so it will be as it is, and in order to create an entry, let me go to the executor because that's how we will understand better. Okay, so the executor, so this is how you do it. The executor is the second one. Okay, client, everything will be okay, and you need to open a connection. You do a query, either create a table, insert into a table if it exists, then you query and give the final result what exactly it was, and this is how you drop a table, and in the end you need to close the connection. So this is what you do. Okay, so we'll have three functions here in the database. So first one will be const export, or export const and add entry, and this will be a async because we'll need to use async await. So we'll take an input, and this input will be anything. We don't care right now, but later we can specify it. Okay, so in order to open a connection, we'll have a connect to check if the table exists, because this is a very important thing which we need to do here. You need to check if your table, which is having a name budget, if it exists. So this is where you get the Dex. So Dex is a query builder, as we told already, and select name of the table in SQLite master. This is a complete database where This type is a table and name is budget. So we'll have a table name called budget, and in that we'll have all the transactions. Okay. So the next step will be, if this exists, we need to check if the entry table exists. So we'll put it in the executor to execute. We can even have the whole thing, instead of check if exists, we can put the whole thing right like this. This should work fine. But just to make it more readable, we are having it in this way. I'll save it at every instance so it auto formats itself, and this will be an array of item if it exists. So in order to check if it exists, this is what we do. I'm copying and pasting the thing here. So what this does is, if the table entry table length, if it is greater than 0, if it is 0, then you just need to, where is it, if the length is greater than 0, then this is true, then you simply insert it, or else you create a table first and then you add an item into it. So okay, so first of all, there will be, I just want to give you the object, how the objects would be. So there will be 3 items: ID, amount, and type. Type can be expense or income. An amount is going to be a float, and ID is going to be a string. And in order to have ID, we'll use UUID, which is another one from Deno. Third-party modules, let's see, UUID. Alright, so we will be using this particular one, and let me import it. Okay, so I'm going to import v4. It's I guess it's going to be length or something, but yeah, this is how we will have the unique ID generated. And let me show you this. I'm going to make a helper function for this, which is going to give us a unique ID. So I'm looking into it, just a second. Okay, so in the end we'll have a list of helper functions, and this will be our first function. So if I call UUID, it is going to give me a generated UUID, unique ID. Okay, so let me quickly go ahead and copy and paste. So we will have a unique ID even, okay, we will have it over here. So unique ID, we get a UUID here. So in that case, we don't really worry about the ID from the input, and we simply have, where's the insert? Okay, here. So we'll have ID equals to UUID, then amount equals to input dot amount, and type will be input dot type. Alright, so the same thing goes for the second insert, and it will be the same thing. Okay, so in this case this should work good, because now if we go into the test one, I just want to make this entry work. So for that reason I'll go to the resolver, and instead of calling this return working, I'll just name it, first of all I'll have to import that function, import and add entry from database. Let's say if it exists. Okay, it exists, and .ts is required. And in this case what I do is I'm going to simply call it add entry, and let's see if it works. So we are supposed to get a new table here, or new file, which is going to be database.db. So I'm going to create, if If it shows an error, that means that there is some issue. Okay, we should have checked this earlier. Okay, input, add entry. We don't have any input here, so for that case we are supposed to have an input, which will be input and test input. Okay, and we are supposed to go into the schema and change it a little bit, because this query is going to have an input and type is going to be any, let's say any. Okay, explicitly call, you need to call it any again in the resolver, I guess. Any here, and do we need to do something in database? We already did that. Okay, there could be some issue, I'm not sure. Okay, did you mean integer? Okay, unknown type any, and where is it? Schema 3. Okay, schema. Okay, integer, let's say integer. Oh, okay, here you cannot have any. You need to have some proper thing. Okay, so if this should run, and I'm supposed to have a this won't work as well, because we need to have something property. Yep. Okay, or I should say input equals to amount, and let's say 40, and what is the type? Okay, type equals to expense. We need something out of it, right? So if we want to get something, we should have, oh, but we're just returning a string, right? So maybe it should just return int, cannot represent integer amount, and oh, okay, we need to, sorry, that's my bad. It's supposed to have a type of test input, and this test input will have test input. This test input will have amount of int and type of string. Alright, so this, let's see if it works. Okay, and let's try to call it type test must be input type, but got test input. Okay, let me quickly take a look what's wrong here, and I'll see you in just a bit. Bye bye.